Immigration policy is destroying the lives of families, not criminals.
Well, let's just start with this ridiculous wedding that took place over this weekend. Because
this was not a wedding. It was a $50 million illusion, crafted not for love, but for headlines. Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sánchez didn't tie the knot in a private, heartfelt ceremony. No, they launched a public spectacle so over the top. It made Venice, the most romantic city in the world, look like the backdrop for a luxury ad campaign. The foam-spewing yacht, the Hollywood guest list, the Vogue photoshoot, all of it carefully orchestrated for maximum visibility and minimal emotion. What was really going on behind those high-fashion smiles and robotic waves? And why did this entire celebration feel more like a branding exercise than a union of two souls? Let's break down the shocking truth behind this so-called royal wedding, a wedding, or a stage play. From the moment the first drone camera hovered over Venice, it was clear this wasn't going to be a traditional ceremony. This was an event so polished, so extravagantly curated, it felt more like a movie set than a marriage. Lauren Sánchez didn't simply walk into her wedding. She descended, standing high on a Venetian balcony, draped in designer couture that shimmered in the Italian sunlight. She smiled and waved not to her family, but to the flashing cameras below, as if reenacting a royal balcony scene in a historical drama. The message was unmistakable. This wasn't a personal milestone. It was a public unveiling. Every angle, every backdrop, every thread of her dress seemed designed for global circulation. She wasn't just a bride, she was a headline. And then came the yacht. Not just a boat, but Jeff Bezos' mega yacht, complete with its own support vessel, a floating palace slicing through the Mediterranean, releasing thick trails of white foam behind it. Glided into Venice with such dramatic flair, it could have doubled as the grand finale of a luxury fragrance commercial. It wasn't transportation, it was a symbol, a statement piece on water. The sheer scale of the entrance made one thing painfully clear. This wasn't a celebration of love, it was a declaration of status. While most weddings whisper intimacy, this one shouted prestige. The guest list, red carpet over relationships. Now let's talk about the people who attended, and just as importantly, the ones who didn't. Traditionally, weddings are gatherings of warmth and memory. The guest list is filled with friends from childhood, former teachers, college roommates, co-workers who stood by you through your toughest days. But this guest list, it felt like a red carpet rollout for a global streaming premiere. First up, Leonardo DiCaprio. Always a staple at high-profile events, he made an appearance, though insiders joked he probably would have preferred arriving on a much smaller, more climate-friendly vessel. Then there was Sydney Sweeney, whose recent rise to internet fame seems to have landed her an invitation not based on personal connection, but digital relevance. And Kim Kardashian, her attendance wasn't even originally planned. Reports say it was her mother, Kris Jenner, who personally reached out to get the family into the event. That alone speaks volumes. This wasn't about personal bonds, it was about PR value. Oprah Winfrey and Gayle King were also spotted in the crowd. Not a close family, not lifelong confidants, just recognizable faces from past media ventures. Remember that Blue Origin flight Jeff Bezos took? Gayle was invited specifically to secure CBS coverage. That's not friendship, that's strategy. And now they're here again, not to share a private moment, but to participate in another carefully managed media rollout. But even more telling were the absences. Not a single former colleague from Lauren's early journalism days. None of Bezos' old business partners or early Amazon team members. No professors, no close childhood friends, no one who would have toasted them with real stories or stumbled through a speech filled with authentic emotion. This wasn't a guest list built from love. It was assembled like a casting call, with attention to media reach, audience appeal, and name recognition. This wasn't a room full of memories. It was a lineup of magazine covers. Instagram erased. A new product launch begins. Right after the ceremony, Lauren Sánchez deleted her entire Instagram history. Years of memories wiped clean. And in their place, a single, highly stylized Vogue image of her and Jeff posing like emperors of a fictional luxury empire. No candid laughter, no blurry behind-the-scenes snaps, no emotional captions or heartfelt thanks. Just one photo, so polished it looked like it belonged on a billboard. That wasn't a wedding post. That was a brand reveal, and as anyone in the media knows, no one wipes their digital footprint unless they're about to sell you something. Lauren didn't just become a wife, she became a brand entity. On the grid, market tested, publicist approved. The transformation of Lauren Sánchez. Let's rewind. Once upon a time, Lauren was a driven local news anchor with a helicopter license, a go-getter literally flying above the competition. She had ambitions, talent, and hustle, but national spotlight, that never quite came. So she shifted her trajectory. First, she dated an NFL star. Then she entered Hollywood's inner circles by marrying Patrick Whitesell, co-CEO of one of the most powerful talent agencies in the world. And then came Bezos, sliding into her DMs while both were still married. The headlines were brutal, leaked texts, over-the-top pet names, tabloid chaos. But somehow, Lauren walked away, not only unscathed, but elevated from industry co-parent to jet-setting partner of the world's richest man. Her image transformed too. The once natural journalist now mirrors a Hollywood influencer. Sculpted curves, defined features, impossible angles. Her appearance shifted to match the lifestyle she had stepped into. From book nerd to Bond villain, once upon a time, Jeff Bezos was the face of humble innovation, the man who sold books out of a garage in Seattle, the nerdy Princeton graduate who wore baggy sweaters, gave soft-spoken interviews, and obsessed over algorithms more than appearances. He was the ultimate symbol of the brain over image success story, a guy who built one of the world's most powerful companies without ever seeming interested in the spotlight. But fast forward to now, and the transformation is almost cinematic. Today's Jeff Bezos is barely recognizable. He's no longer the quiet tech entrepreneur. He's stepped out of that role and into one that seems tailor-made for a superhero film, or maybe a sci-fi thriller. His arms are sculpted, his clothes are tailored, and he walks with the confidence of someone who's been through a complete image overhaul. This is a man who once spoke passionately about optimizing supply chains. Now he's giving off the energy of a nightclub owner who also builds rockets on the side. The tan, the tight-fitting shirts, the sunglasses, the smirk, it all feels part of a calculated evolution, a strategic shift from thinker to power figure. And it didn't happen by accident. Just like Lauren Sanchez's transformation, Jeff's new image is no coincidence. It's the result of a deliberate rebrand. The physique, the style, even the confident body language. It's all carefully curated to fit the new narrative. He's not just a CEO anymore, he's a lifestyle icon, a global figure, a man who commands not just business empires, but attention. This reinvention didn't peak at the wedding, it was completed by it. Standing next to Lauren, the two didn't look like a couple just starting their life together. They looked like finished products, flawlessly packaged and ready for the world to admire. Jeff Bezos didn't just upgrade his wardrobe, he rewrote his entire public persona, and this wedding, it wasn't the beginning of a new chapter. It was the final stamp of approval on his transformation from tech visionary to global power symbol. Barbie and Bezos, the collector's edition. Together, Bezos and Sánchez don't look like a couple in love. They look like collectibles. Barbie and Bezos, billionaire edition. Two hyper-curated figures built for the lens, not for life. Their wedding wasn't a sacred bond, it was a rollout, a campaign launch, a billionaire's take on cosplay, where love was less of a feeling and more of an aesthetic. Every smile, every pose, every gown and glittering boat was choreographed for maximum reach and minimal authenticity, missing souls in a sea of stars. What makes a wedding meaningful? The people who knew you before the spotlight, the ones who saw you struggle, stumble, and grow. But none of those people were present. No mentors, no lifelong buddies, no old professors. It was a collection of people selected not for their history, but for their headlines. There were no emotional toasts, no inside jokes, no nostalgic stories from college days or newsroom memories, just influencers, legacy names, people who trend. A wedding that felt cold. It all felt cold, empty, stunning to look at, but hollow to feel. The wedding had spray tans, high-end photographers, glowing lights, and designer dresses, but it lacked one thing: soul. And that's the irony. Even in a Venetian palace, surrounded by money and fame, Bezos and Sánchez somehow still looked lonely, because connection, real connection, doesn't live in magazine spreads. It lives in unfiltered moments, and this wedding had none. Symbolism over substance. Every element of this wedding was designed to communicate something, and none of it was about love. The yacht, a metaphor for untouchable status. The Vogue shoot, a symbol of image over intimacy. The lack of candid joy, a statement, intentional or not, that vulnerability has no place in their world. Even their attire told a story. Lauren's gown looked more like a red carpet costume than a wedding dress. Jeff's polished look screamed strategic reinvention. Together, their visual presentation didn't whisper romance. It shouted strategy. This wasn't two people coming together to celebrate love. It was two brands merging for influence, prestige, and control over the narrative. Every shot was a billboard, every moment a metaphor, not for devotion, but domination. The danger of perfect illusions. Here's the part no one wants to talk about. What weddings like this do to the rest of us. When you flood social media with picture-perfect events staged for algorithms, it sets unrealistic expectations for what joy, love, and success should look like. Real weddings have messy moments. Real relationships have wrinkles. But in this billionaire fairy tale, those parts were edited out, erased by filters and flawless lighting. And that's the danger. It's not just fake, it's infectious. It spreads the lie that if your love doesn't come with yachts, designer gowns, and celebrity cameos, it isn't valuable. And that couldn't be further from the truth. The Bezos-Sánchez spectacle isn't just a wedding. It's a masterclass in illusion, and if we're not careful, we start chasing their highlight reel instead of living our own real lives. This wasn't a love story, it was a mirror, reflecting the wildest excesses of fame and fortune in our time. Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sánchez didn't just get married, they sealed a partnership between their brands, their images, and their PR machines. It was a spectacle designed to dazzle us, distract us, and dominate our timelines. But behind all the yachts, the filters, the couture, and the camera angles, one question lingers. What happens when the performance becomes bigger than the people? Next time you see a perfect wedding photo, remember, not everything that sparkles is gold. Sometimes it's just foam floating into the Mediterranean. Don't forget to like, comment your thoughts below, and subscribe for more eye-opening breakdowns.